You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies.
This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Ravenswood After Show.
We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show.
It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Ravenswood After Show.
Not a secret, can you keep
Aww. Hi, everybody. It is the fall finale for Ravenswood. We are in season 1, episode 5, Scared to Death. I am your host, Kellie, and joining me tonight...
Hi, I'm Stephanie Wenger.
I'm Sarah Giraud.
Hi, guys. I'm McKay. And we had a really super, super creepy episode tonight.
Creepy kids.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nothing scares me more than dolls and creepy little kids.
And we got both of those between Pretty
Both.
Little Liars and Ravenswood.
Yep.
Super
Yep.
creepy.
Loved it. Loved it. So what did you guys think?
I think it definitely. I'm interested when for the episode to come back. I want to find out what's going on. We didn't get so much from episode 2 through 4, so it was. It's good to see that they put some excitement and for the viewers, because now you really want to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was reading online before the show tonight that they were saying we were going to get a lot of answers tonight. Do you feel that we did?
I don't think we got. Well, yeah, I'm going to speak on both sides of my mouth and say yes and no, because even though you did get answers, at the same time, you have new theories that people are coming up with based on the new introduction of characters that we have.
That's about what I was going to say. There were lots of answers, but they did it in the Pretty Little Liars way, where there were lots of questions. The answers led to more questions. It wasn't just absolutes.
Well, let's start out with Henry, who we find out is an old relative of Caleb's. Original Caleb's. I like how we have original Caleb and original Miranda. That's kind of a funny little thing. But he gave new Caleb this box full of photos, knickknacks. They find a wedding band in it. They find what they think is a map. There's old photos, and they're going through it, trying to make sense of all of it. And they find a picture of a house and what other kind of things. And then there's a letter, what they think is a letter from Caleb to Miranda, but it looks like an unfinished letter. But we knew from a while back that they were a couple, original Caleb and Miranda, right? Like, I remember that.
We knew they were dating.
Yeah, but we knew that they weren't related, that they were a couple.
Yeah.
Because I think there was like some confusion there that a lot of people were thinking could possibly be related. But I think we found out early on that they were a couple.
Conspiracy theories of
I think
relationship.
they probably thought the new Miranda and Caleb were related.
Yeah.
Not the old ones, because if, the old Miranda and Caleb were a couple, then it would make sense that they would be kind of like their offsprings and grandkids or whatever they might be. So I think that's where the confusion might have been.
Absolutely. Well, we're getting a little more into like the whole idea of reincarnation in this episode, especially because the original Caleb and Miranda are exact lookalikes, identical, down to the freckle of the new Caleb
I wonder
and
how they
Miranda.
did that.
I don't know how they did that. It's television magic. But what's funny is, like, obviously we know that, but now the characters in the show are starting to see that a little bit more and starting to think that there's something more to it than them simply just being distant relatives, which kind of makes the story a little bit more interesting. And we go through this episode kind of following Luke's struggle to believe what he's seeing and his fight with Remy and him kind of pulling at this, not wanting to be part of it, but can't help to be part of it. I mean, what do you guys think about that?
I'm not sure if he's doing it because he wants to make Remy happy or if he actually believes it. That's my problem with that.
I think a part of him feels that he should believe in it, but a part of him maybe just wants to be standoffish and the tough guy and not believe in it. But he's also doing it, I think, to protect his sister, because his sister's involved in it, aside from Remy. And the sister strongly believes that their father was killed or died because of uncovering the truth about the Pact. So she feels strongly about it, so he needs to protect her.
Yeah, I don't think that he's necessarily a believer, but he realizes that in order to protect his sister and who he claims his love to be, Remy, he has to be in this inner circle. If he doesn't believe, they're not going to allow him to know all the information they're finding. So in order to stay in the inner circle, he's, I don't want to say pretending to believe, but
he's got to accept it.
Right.
Accept that this is happening, even though he may not believe everything that's going on in the way that they believe it, but he's accepting, okay, something's not right. I'm seeing these things. I can't explain them, whatever. I'm going to go along with it and see kind of where this goes. Yeah, he was really getting on my nerves last episode. Just terribly, the whole fighting about the whole thing. But I am one of those, I really believe in this kind of stuff. So, especially if I ever saw something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like at this point, their doors are opening by themselves and they think it's a normal day.
They're like, oh, that's weird.
I don't know if I'd ever get to that point. But it's just interesting how even if something happens right in front of someone, they still refuse to believe it. And that's kind of, I think, what I see with this character.
Yeah, it's interesting because now we're kind of seeing him transition over and be at least accepting of it. But I wanted someone, I guess I'm on the opposite side of that you're on, that I wanted someone to hold out and be like, I don't see it, I want to live my normal life, and maybe even realize that it's happening but not like push it away. And he doesn't seem to even be necessarily pushing it away at this point. He's just kind of accepting that it's a part of their existence.
Well, it's kind of hard to push away when, like, chandeliers are falling on you.
True. I mean,
walls are shaking.
Tonight was the most blatant we've seen this, like, curse, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
But I don't know if maybe they might put the PL twist to it as well, where, one of the girls isn't so much into it, as we had with A and Allie dying. And so it's a way to get information from that person and keep them away from the circle. And it could very well be, he could very well be used as the pawn in this circle, based on what we find out later on and who's involved with it as well.
Right, because he kind of technically has one foot in, one foot out. So, that is
it's easy to manipulate the group if you don't have someone who's fully committed to and strongly believes in what it is that the curse and what they're trying to find.
Right. And someone that came back in this episode a lot heavier was Dillon, and who's Olivia's boyfriend that she's kind of been blowing off in a sense, and she says to protect him while she's hanging out with Caleb and Remy. And he finally has had enough. He comes over to the house to try to be the helpful boyfriend and acts a little jealous at first, and then kind of decides he wants to help her out. And from the get-go, I didn't feel like that was...
I was just about to say, was I the
Ditto.
only person? Yeah, I felt like I was the only person who was just like, he's obviously not on the up and up here.
It was a little too easy.
Too nice.
Yeah.
Too nice. Isn't that sad?
And it was almost like everything was handed to him. He already knew what was going on.
I know. And he came up with answers like way too
Yeah.
fast.
And for Luke to tell Olivia that, you shouldn't really ditch your boyfriend for your new friends. You should make some time for him. After seeing Dillon come into the picture, I kind of like thought to myself, well, I don't know if he really cares for Dillon. For him to give that advice to Olivia. Does he have another plan, another motive? Is he a part of something? I don't know. I just have like so many questions going through my mind about that.
Well, no, that can totally open up a door. And if, we could come from Pretty Little Liars land where nobody is what they seem. But on the other hand, it could be Dillon manipulating him and kind of going to him, confiding in him, I miss my girlfriend. And, and then... Luke using his not wanting her to be in danger, and how about you go hang out with your boyfriend and kind of be in this normal life, if we want to think about the innocent way. But how often are things kind of like the innocent way?
I actually have a theory about Dillon, so I don't know if you guys want me to save it for later or just
go for it.
Say it for now. I think he might be the one who was writing on the gravestone, on their dad's gravestone.
Oh, yeah.
That we were trying to figure out who it was, and we thought it was Luke.
Oh,
but
right.
I don't think Luke would be doing that.
Well, do you think But he couldn't have been the one. No, because he was driving the car, right? He couldn't
No,
have
I
been
don't
the
think
one
that-
that threw the paint, right?
Yeah, I don't think it was him for
Yeah.
the paint, but who knows if he had it set up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've seen before from Pretty Little Liars that these things are not always one individual.
Right, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've already, seen an interesting little pairing at the end of this episode.
Absolutely.
But one thing that stood out and that we didn't really get any kind of definition about was the creepy ghost with the bloody eyes.
Yeah.
We saw him twice,
Oh.
right? We saw him twice, but they never kind of.
Yeah, they didn't really mention it, but didn't the corpses that we'll mention later on, I'm sure, have the eyes as well?
Well, there was a knife in one of the eyes, right?
Right,
So
yeah.
maybe that was maybe that was.
Maybe
the guy
he's
that
not
sacrificed
evil
himself.
and he's a
I think
helper
he was
ghost.
trying to help
Yeah.
Caleb wake up, because if he
Yeah.
had stayed there for any, for a longer amount of time, I don't know what might have happened to him. So,
Yeah.
Dreams are reality. What you see in your dream may actually come to life. So if he gets killed, God, knows if that will actually happen, and he just doesn't wake up anymore. So I think
Right.
it was a way for him to wake him up and make sure he doesn't continue the dream.
So you
That's
think
how
he's
I thought. I don't
kind of
think
like
he
a
was-
helper?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't think he was evil.
So do you think, okay, well, before we get into the corpse that we found, let's go back to Henry. So we find out Henry passed away, that he was literally scared to death. And when Collins calls Caleb in to see him, you can see like this terrified, frozen look on Henry's face, which is pretty creepy in itself. But it's something that Collins has obviously seen before. And he seems to have a little bit, know a little bit more than he's kind of letting on with that. And then, obviously that kind of leads to more suspicion.
Well, he does mention that Henry knew it was coming. So what does Collins know, and what does he know that was coming that Henry was so frightened about?
Yeah, because once he passed along the keys to Caleb and the box and, basically just gave him that and I was like, here, now it's your turn. Then I guess he figured, this is it. My time is just about up. So I wonder kind of like what that pattern is and what the history is of that. Because now we're saying that the whole thing with Collins and snipping the hair is to keep the spirits at the house in the cemetery for whatever reason, whether it be for good to save them or evil to, we don't know really,
I
at
really
this point.
think it is for good now, because after what we saw when they were in that house, I don't think I'd want to leave the cemetery.
And when we saw them in the other house.
Yeah, in the other house.
So Miranda was able, and I know you guys talked about this last week, Miranda was able to leave because, the bottle with the hair, her lock of hair, she broke it, so it freed her from being confined to that place, and she goes into her version of heaven. And it's really interesting what that is to her. It's simply just being with her family.
But I can totally understand why that would be her heaven. Because if you're a foster child and, on the bus, how we were introduced to her, going back to your family and having that home life, I think could realistically be a heaven.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she has her mother, she has her father, and even just like having a closet full of clothes, which is something she'd never had before.
Yeah.
Like those little things. And then, and then we get introduced to this wonderfully creepy little girl, Max,
Oh, Lord.
who likes to play hide and seek. And that could, kind of be like a little sister to her, and like the whole little family unit.
It's so funny that you say little sister. That's actually what I wrote when I first saw her, because that's like playing in the closet. It felt like that, sister relationship. But I don't know now.
Then her head swirled all the way around, and I got that was done.
Exorcist action going on. And then
But her so-called parents told her that they found her, out in the front yard.
Yeah, just playing in the yard.
Yeah.
They've been taking care of her. So they do reveal that that's not actually her sister.
Right.
Right.
But at the same time...
But how is that
the
not
only-
weird? They just like find this kid like a stray cat outside, and then they just start taking care of her?
At the same time, I'm like thinking, does she not remember her parents? Like, does she not remember how they looked?
I mean,
But wasn't she really young when they died?
Well, she was at the funeral at Collins.
She was like 5 or 6,
She was
right?
able to stand. She was holding Collins' hand, so she was old enough that it seems like she might.
She had a
Remember.
flashback to the funeral. to
Yeah,
his
but she was
funeral.
still pretty little. I don't know that she
True.
would. Who knows? I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
But I mean, she obviously when she first saw her mother or whatever was pretending to be her mother, she did.
There was an instant recognition.
Yeah, there was that instant.
Yeah.
So she knows.
Well,
that's
maybe
them.
they're, able to change not shape, or, just
Form?
be able to duplicate someone,
Well,
clone
yeah, people-
I'm not sure, if the spirits are able to do that, but
I've heard that depending on what you believe and going into all the different spiritual things and stuff, that's what they say is sometimes a lot of evil entities can do that to make you feel comfortable and to
God.
because I actually think
that's why they say you shouldn't
Sweet
play with
dreams.
that stuff. No Ouija boards. You never know who you can
Yeah.
open.
I don't want to fast forward, but I feel like that's the lady from the bridge.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah.
I feel like she's, embodied her mom, obviously, because that's a way to draw her in, and to keep her in a house that we find out is not so safe for her because Caleb is having dreams and something is telling him that, I don't even know how he found out about Max and the little kid and that she was dangerous and she was in there for the right reasons.
Well, because he's the one when we saw her. Because when we saw her with her parents, we're watching Caleb's dream. He was dreaming about that, so he saw her head spin. That's how he knew she was evil.
Oh, I
because
see.
right after that, he wakes up, and then that's his first dream. That's when he's talking to Remy, and they're talking about that whole thing. So when we see those visions of her, it's his dream that he's watching. Because then the next time he's in it, trying to save her, and that's where he finds the door for the escape.
Got it.
But she won't go out. So
Yeah.
I was so worried that door wasn't going to be there when he went to look for it in real life.
Yeah.
Great. They're stuck.
Because there are things that change in
Yeah,
dreams.
exactly.
And it could, not be there.
And
I
why
have to
would there
say-
be a door there anyway?
Yeah, that seemed really weird, and that they could just jump out of this door.
Yeah.
So do you guys think this dreams, this I don't know if premonitions, the sleepwalking, are they helping them find what they're looking for, or are they forcing them into this trap?
They definitely seem to be giving them clues or a direction to go. I don't think it's determined yet whether that's the right direction. I feel like they're getting clues, but is it leading them to the right thing? I don't think we know yet.
I guess that's still left to be seen. But
Because Remy ends up, sleepwalking in this episode.
yeah, she breaks into the savings and loan. They're in the basement, which if we back up a little bit, when Dillon goes to see Olivia and he's helping her go through the stuff, he enlightens her about what they think is a map, that it's actually a blueprint. So when they're in that basement, I like how she takes credit for it. Doesn't even say that to the actor.
I think she's scared to mention that he might know about it.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But then she calls him at the end. But so they find out that was a blueprint, and they're looking around and they find this hidden room because on the blueprint there was 2 rooms and it looked like there was only one.
But isn't it obvious how Remy would have been led to this place, that now Dillon, told Olivia what it was and explained to her what the blueprints was, and that there were 2 rooms and they just happened to find the second room in the wall and the people in there and the picture that led them to Miranda's house. Mm-hmm. It just seems
because I think the end result was wanting to get them all in that house. That was the game, was to get them. That was the plan.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Whatever led Remy to savings and loans, do you guys think it was good spirits, or were it's part of the plan to get them there, because now they have Dillon on the outside helping
Yeah.
manipulating someone on the inside to figure out what it is to get them to a trap.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, Dillon's goal, and he mentions it in the episode, was obviously to get them in the end to that house. That was clear,
Yeah.
that's what he wanted to do. I don't know if the interim steps, if that was all by spirits or by whoever Dillon's with the girl. It's hard to know.
Yeah.
But whoever, because the old man gave the blueprint to them in the first place, or to Caleb, so obviously, does that mean he's good or bad? Because if they're not
Well, here's
Like,
what.
who's
Okay,
leaving who where?
Here's like in looking at this is what and I could totally be wrong. Who knows? But the way that I'm looking at it is the dreams are the good things. It's us helping them do the right thing. Everything that's in front of them, that's in there, is bad. I feel like the good things are coming when they're subconscious, and the scary things are actually showing themselves and pretending to be good.
Okay, so do you think Caleb's uncle is good or bad?
No, I think he was good, and I think I think so. And I think all of these pieces, they all have to fit because there's a good and bad side to everything. So it all kind of fits together. It's just the way that they read it. Because either way, the end result was to get back to the house and save Miranda.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm. So either way, they needed to get there, whether that creepy kid led them there or, you know, whatever happened, they still needed to get there and save her. The end result was either they escaped or they didn't.
Yeah.
So it was like whatever won out. Caleb believing his dreams and knowing that she was really bad, or them believing that, you know, Miranda's parents were really there.
Yeah.
So I kind of like think like that's the struggle there, is which side were they were going to go on. And then we see, you know, when Caleb falls out the window, he kind of has his own little struggle there.
Because we see the housekeeper trying to help Caleb in this episode as well by giving him the address to Miranda's parents' house.
Which wasn't there anymore.
But at the same time, they have the conversation. She has a conversation with Collins, and you know, she was telling him that, you know, you need to hurry up. It might be too late. And then she was, to me, it seemed like she was surprised that they were still alive.
I took it as being relieved, though, which is interesting. We both saw it in two different ways. I didn't think that she wanted them dead. That's my struggle with him, is because he seems super creepy, but I feel like that's too obvious for him to be the bad guy. So I kind of believe that maybe he's not. That maybe he's trying to protect them from that little creepy demon kid.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel.
Because it's like the bad house and then the not as bad house.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I just don't know that he's. I used to think he was bad when I first started watching the show. I think we all at some point did. But now I'm thinking it's kind of a shade of gray. Like he's not evil and he's not good. He has his own agenda, and that's what he's after. It's not about necessarily protecting or.
Because he's not helping them move on to where they need to go. He's trapping them. So that's not good.
Yeah.
So there's definitely, I agree with you. There's definitely, it's not all good. But it's not all bad either.
I mean, but because he's cutting their hair to keep them, like, it doesn't seem like he's explaining to them, like, I'm trying to protect you, and doing it in a way of, like, being a so-called father figure to them. It's like he's trapping them, exactly as you said.
Yeah, it's not, he's not helping them find the light and go on and move on to the next place or anything. None of the good stuff we see from, you know, other similar storylines. So there's definitely something else going on. But then we also, like, this town seems to be kind of like a limbo area for everyone.
Yeah.
So I wonder kind of how much more that's going to play.
I was going to say, maybe people who die in this town don't get to move on, and he's the one who's, like, helping them avoid all the evil things outside of the cemetery.
Well, that makes me think of a fan tweeted me a few weeks ago talking about, could Ravenswood as a whole be a purgatory?
Maybe.
And so they're stuck between like hell and heaven. And that's why they're all there. And even in that case, could Collins be the same? Like, are they all? Yeah, it's an interesting thought.
That is. It's very interesting.
I don't know. I still kind of feel like he's not the good guy. And, you know, if what we find, the two people that killed themselves to bring Caleb and Miranda back to break the curse, Collins is trying to keep them trapped. So, you know, if they're trapped, they can't break the curse. So the curse is, going to continue. It's going to, be in cycle. So in a way, he is still letting the curse continue on, versus if he frees them, then maybe they'll help break the curse.
Right. Again, that not good, not evil, just like he's not as evil, I guess we can say, as what we experienced in that other house. But
and we think of those two skeletons, like the two people that sacrificed themselves. What were their names?
Was it Esther?
Thomas and Esther.
So we think that maybe Thomas is the one that we saw flashes of when Caleb's window opened by itself, like with the bloody eyes. That maybe that was him.
Maybe, yeah.
You know, I don't know. I wonder if maybe the woman on the bridge could be Esther. And maybe she didn't mean to scare them, but maybe
But she
it's
did.
but she did.
Whoops.
Maybe it's something else. I mean, I don't know, but then she's always wet. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, they could totally have nothing to do with anyone we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Or, we didn't find out that the original Caleb and Miranda died in a boat accident, right? So it might
Yeah.
be one of their
right.
friends.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes.
It might be one
true.
of their friends who
One of the
who
5.
drowned.
Yeah.
Well, we've seen from the pilot episode of this that water, I think it was in the pilot that Caleb almost drowned in the bathtub. Like, water seems to be a huge force.
Because not only was there the flood, but they did drown they died in the boating accident, and then the car in the lake. So there's definitely all of that.
Stay
So
away from water.
4 kids should not go on a cruise anytime
no,
soon.
absolutely not. They should start each take their own car. They cannot be in one car all together. I don't know. But we also find out that they died on their wedding day, that the original Caleb and Miranda were married, and what the letters that we thought were letters were actually their wedding vows.
That was actually a really sad. Yeah, sad.
Oh, and we get the flashback, so we get to see them talking to each other and kind of like period
But
clothing.
Miranda does say something that stood out to me. She said, until death do us part. She said she said something like until death do us part, but even further until eternity. So maybe those words are what in a way has kept the cycle going, which they keep on meeting one another to I don't know.
Could be. Maybe they maybe they are reincarnated, and the sacrifice did, as Remy was suggesting, did bring them back, because they really do look so much like the originals.
And can you believe Caleb is the one that is like, no, that can't be. No, I believe it in, but he's like the one that, Luke is convincing him. And I'm like, Caleb, what is wrong with you? You
He's
can't
like,
see
I'm not that guy.
No, but then he has his near-death experience, and he changes his tune. So he practically, when he falls out of that doorway in the house that he won't seem to leave for whatever reason, and he's there with Miranda, he feels like he wants to stay with her, and she sends him back, and we see him,
I
come back
think
to
that
life.
might be a good thing, because I feel like maybe in prior lives, they've constantly fell for one another and, in a way ended up dead. So falling in love may be part of the curse.
And I wonder if because at least from the time before that they're looking into, they died at the same time. And this time they didn't. So I wonder how that's going to be different, or if it's happened before, where sometimes they die together, sometimes they don't, if this has continued since like 1918.
Yeah.
Remy has some digging to do.
Yes, she
In
does.
that, the newsroom basement at the paper. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, they're always teenagers, which is, pretty sad.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
But it's a good segue from PLL to Ravenswood, because we see the 2 little redcoats, which
we saw in the Halloween
episode, which are hanging in the haunted house. And who do we see dressed in there? Max, of course.
Little
and
demon
she's
child.
You guessed it.
She's like chasing them throughout the house. But then I also remembered, because in the Pretty Little Liars episode, Hanna was the only one that noticed the 2 girls. And she kept on referring to them and telling the girls, did you see the 2 little creepy, kids? And no one saw them. It was only Hanna. So does she have the ability to see ghosts as well? I mean,
maybe she does, because then when she was locked in that phone booth, she did see some stuff going on, and got the phone call from some other ward, some other place.
Oh, great. I hope she's not going to get involved with this curse.
Well, then, we see this little creepy kid is at the hospital when Caleb is brought in and comes, back around, and we see Dillon sees her and follows her, and that's when we find out he is not what he seemed to be. And of course,
Knew it.
he's working with the little demon kid. I cannot call her Max ever.
So apparently, apparently Dillon can see ghosts. I guess everybody can see ghosts, but he's not involved with the Pact, and he's seeing ghosts too. So
Yeah, something's not right.
Yeah, I
He's
want to know
evil.
what his involvement is and what they have against him for him to want to partake in this curse and to help them out, actually.
If anything, or if that's just...
That's what I kept wondering, though, is that why would you go after someone? Like, what did Caleb and Miranda do to him in a previous life that this, you know,
Yeah.
that this is something that he feels like he should be doing?
Or maybe he's just possessed.
Maybe. Ew.
Because
Yeah.
he tells the demon child that he's going to be really upset. You know,
Who's this he?
Yeah.
And she just, you know, tells him that their spirits and their energy was way too strong. I guess all of them being together, and they were able to pull Miranda out of the house, and they all escaped as well. But who is he working for? Is it Collins? Is it a spirit?
I feel like Collins is too easy. That's why I'm
Yeah.
hesitant to believe that it's him. I mean, and maybe it is, but I just feel like that's a little too obvious, and we never get the obvious with this show.
I was going to say, well, Collins would be on any other show the first thing I would say, but knowing the Pretty Little Liars
Reverse
writers,
psychology.
yeah, like you just can't assume that. I think it's
Well, MPLL, it was introduced to us for, you know, from the first episode, and you know, you really.
But I mean, we already have questions about Collins. We're wondering whether he's good or bad. Where I think, not to talk too much about Pretty Little Liars, but the A reveal on Pretty Little Liars, I don't think many fans saw coming. When you look back at it, you can see it, but.
Yeah.
But I think they did a lot of things on purpose to kind of have it to be able to go in different directions. And even when you go back, had it been someone else, it might have been able to work too. I mean, I think they put all these little clues in on purpose to confuse you. What if it all turns around and the he is A the whole time?
Yeah.
Special.
I don't know. I'm excited to see what happens. We've got Dillon, we know now is a bad guy. We have this crazy little red coat kid, Max, who is very creepy and scary and talks in a demon voice. And then we've got Miranda, who's unfortunately still dead. And I wonder, I mean, I'm guessing she's going to kind of be that way through the whole series, or at least, you know, the rest of the season. We'll see kind of what happens there. But there's a lot of good stuff coming up we saw in the previews to come. And is there anything else you guys want to touch on for this, or do you want to get into news?
I can get into news.
News.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Tyler Blackburn did an interview this week with The Hollywood Reporter talking about tonight's episode and what, you know, fans could expect from that, and also talked about his ongoing relationship with Caleb and the relationship between Caleb and Miranda. And he says that they have an unexplainable bond. They've been bonded even more after what's happened to Miranda and everybody else. Caleb is very confused because he's in love with Hanna and has all these things going on that he wants to protect Hanna from. One of them is that Miranda is no longer living but is sticking around as a ghost. The fact that he can see her and she's always there makes it harder for him to separate himself from her. So that's an interesting one because we've obviously seen the long distance relationship with Hanna. We should mention that Ashley Benson, of course, guested tonight on the show.
Yeah.
Woo, we got really excited for it. But it's interesting that as a character, he feels like it sounds like a bit of a love triangle. Maybe I'm not sure.
Yeah, I agree.
And after tonight's episode, realizing that maybe he does have feelings for Miranda.
Yeah, and can you be in love with a ghost? I mean, I hope that that's something that kind of...
Is that cheating?
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting one.
It's an emotional affair.
Yeah, well, he kissed her.
It's cheating.
He kissed her when he was dead.
On the cheek, right?
No, that wasn't that on the lips.
No, she kissed him on the
cheek.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's better. I feel better.
She's been good about that, about keeping it. You know, about respecting the relationship, which I actually
I can't
really
help
like.
but really like Miranda, but I do love Hanna, so.
Yeah. So, but, you know, also with the conversation with that he was having with Hanna when they finally kind of had some time, is he said he was going home. But now we know that he's not, so we'll have to see where that kind of picks up too. All right, well, let's do predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right. So we're back in January. What do you think's gonna happen?
Well, I would like to find out that Collins is actually good and he's helping everyone stay safe. The ghosts, not necessarily everyone. And I would also like for Hanna and Caleb to reunite properly.
In the flesh.
Yes.
I would love to see that happen, to have Hanna and Caleb reunite. I think that their relationship, they were so lovey-dovey on the phone tonight in the episode that it just makes me kind of wonder if it's going towards a demise, which is really sad because they're one of my favorite couples.
Yeah.
But I think that, if he's stuck in Ravenswood and just the distance and then having there's too much going against them right now.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to predict that someone is probably going to die from the Pact, and I have a feeling it's going to be Olivia, just because she's too close with Dillon.
You think she's going to be the next one to go?
Interesting.
Or maybe she won't because they need her. The evil people need her.
Well,
or ghosts, not people.
I wonder if it's a thing, though, with Dillon, if he has some sort of feelings for her. Like, it hasn't been determined yet whether Arya and Ezra, there were true feelings there. But if he has true feelings for her, will she be the last to go?
Because, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's just a thought.
I was like thinking, did Dillon have something to do with her dad's death? Because he's close with the family, and maybe he got information through Olivia. So a lot of questions.
Do you think we're going to see any of those spirits come back? Maybe Miranda's parents really do come, or Olivia's dad, something like that?
Not anytime soon.
No.
I don't think that it would be way too soon for them to come.
And what about the kids from last episode that Miranda saw by the gravestone? Do you think that one of those kids that she saw that kind of ran away that was with Abby was the guy with the bloody eyes? Could he have been one of them?
We will probably have to go back and look at the
We'll
episode
have to
again.
check. Double check.
Yeah. That's in a rewatch.
Definitely.
I know. Okay, we absolutely have not seen the last of this little demon child, and
Darn it.
And the other one, where's the second one?
I know.
Yeah.
There's two, and
There's
I
going to
wonder.
be a trick with that.
Yeah. That we're seeing another kind of A team forming because there's two of them, and we've got Dillon, so already we've got a 3 team, and then there's a he, so that's 4.
Maybe there's 5 of them.
Maybe. I think Mrs. Grumwald's going to help out a little bit more. She's starting to give, more clues, whether it's good or bad. Still, we still really don't know. But from what we saw from the previews, it looks like Miranda's going to be playing with her a little bit more, kind of testing her.
Interesting.
So maybe we'll find out kind of what team she's really on. But until then, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. The show is back in January. Please make sure to go to iTunes, rate and comment. Let us know what you think and what you thought of tonight's episode. You can follow us at AfterBuzz TV on Twitter, and make sure to follow me at Kellie with an IE 079.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Stephanie Wenger.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Sarah GGG. That's 3 G's.
You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RealMK.
And we'll see you guys back in January.
Bye.
Happy holidays.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.